Anytime that you have a character's surroundings, like if you have them in their home, seeing where they live and what it's like can tell you a lot about that character, can tell you a lot about their background and their past.
Hello, this is Louise Dean, founder of the Novelry, the world's best loved school for writers, with more 5-star reviews than any other and a whole bunch of published success stories. As an award-winning Booker-listed author, I founded the Novelry to help writers avoid the frustrations of writing solo for years by getting wise eyes on the most important element of writing right from the get-go. Story, story, story. And this is our podcast to give you everything you need for happy writing. This is the Novelry on Writing.
Hi, I'm Lesley and I write psychological thrillers. And I'm also a coach at the Novelry. And I'm here today with Andrea.
Hi, I'm Andrea Stewart. I write fantasy and science fiction, and I'm also a coach at the Novelry. And today we're going to talk about 5 ways to use setting to increase tension.
And the first tip we have is about positioning your characters in opposition to their geographical location. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that first of all, Andrea?
Yeah, sure. So, for instance, what you can do is put your character into a place that they're unfamiliar with. So kind of that fish out of the water definitely adds tension right away, where your character's exploring a place that they've not been, and they're also trying to get by, and also like learning things about themselves and the plot at the same time.
Absolutely. And where they're cut off from their friends and their family and potential allies. So that, as you say, they're a fish out of water and they're on their own. They've got to sort of get by, haven't they, on their own smarts, really.
Right. Yeah, I know you were talking too about like putting them on an island.
Yeah, like in an Agatha Christie novel or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
where they're cut off from the mainland. The last ferry's gone. They're there. Maybe there's a killer.
Right. I think definitely isolating people in a setting where they have to face certain oppositional things that can add the tension.
I mean, geographical location as well can be really relevant in terms of the actual story you want to tell. I remember with my first novel, The Rumour, it's about the repercussions of a rumour and gossip. And I think if I'd set it in a big city, I don't think it would have worked as well, because people live in one place in the city, they work in another, they socialise in another. A rumour wouldn't necessarily have taken hold. But in a very small town where everybody knows everybody's business, that for me was the ideal place. So, think carefully, I would say, about the geographical location. That's
Right.
what advice I would give.
It would have been different if it wasn't
It would
set
have
in a
been
small
completely
town.
different. Completely different. Yeah.
Oh, our tip 2 is positioning the character in opposition to the elements.
Okay. So by the elements, you mean the weather and things like that. don't you?
Right. In opposition to nature, for sure.
So things like bad weather, storms, hurricanes, floods. Fire, pestilence, plague. No.
A book I read recently, Breathless, was set on Manaslu, which is one of the tallest peaks in the world. And the main character was trying to climb to the peak, while at the same time somebody is murdering people. So, yeah. Having somebody who is a murderer is tension there, but it adds more tension for them to also be facing up against these killer elements.
Of course, yeah. And of course, weather can reflect the character's state of mind as well, can't it? If they're in a turmoil and there's a storm brewing, I mean, it might seem obvious, and you don't want to over-labour those sort of things, but if you do them in a subtle way, they can be really effective.
Right.
Yeah.
It definitely does that thing of making things more difficult for your character.
Yeah.
Where you're throwing them into a situation where everything is harder for them. I think it reveals a lot about somebody.
Definitely, yeah, it does reveal a lot about someone. And so, I mean, I think that brings us on to the next point in terms of, well, actually, we're going to talk about theme being the next point, but I think we'll talk about character first.
Yeah, it
you were
flows
just
very
talking
well
about
into
it, kind
that.
of flows,
Yes.
doesn't it? So in terms of using setting to reveal information about our characters, how can we do that?
Anytime that you have a character's surroundings, like if you have them in their home, seeing where they live and what it's like can tell you a lot about that character, can tell you a lot about their background and their past.
Of course, just the simple fact of the decor, can tell you a lot about a person's class and a lot about a person's likes and dislikes. How tidy it is, how clean it is. If it's a very fastidiously clean apartment and someone's obsessively tidy, that tells you a lot about them, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It says a lot about their need for control.
Definitely.
And then you can kind of infer that there must be something going on in their past that has led to that need for control.
Absolutely. I mean, that's we were talking earlier, weren't we, about B.A. Paris's novel, Behind Closed Doors.
Yes.
You had some interesting things to say about that.
Oh, yeah, where it's the beginning scene is a dinner party and everything seems very sweet and domestic, where they're having dinner with the guests and the conversation is flowing really well. But there are these clues that something terrible is going on underneath it all.
Between the husband and wife. So
Right.
That's being revealed about their relationship, isn't
Right.
it? In the subtext of the conversation and the looks they give each other.
Yeah, and just like the feel of that setting.
Yeah.
Because on the surface, the people that they're having dinner with don't notice anything's going on. But as the reader, you're kind of picking up on these little clues.
Yeah.
With courses, coaching and community, the Novelry is the world's top-rated writing course. You'll come up with the idea for a novel you can't wait to write, then you'll write a finished draft, and you'll edit your novel into a book that readers will love. A Big 5 publishing editor will review your novel. So, if you've got a book in you and you've never found the right time to write it, now there's a good place. Come on over to the Novelry. Beginners welcome. We'll show you how to start, coach your story into shape, and cheer you on to type the end.
Our fourth tip was to do with theme, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, so setting can often be linked to the theme of your book. So you see that a lot in speculative fiction, like in fantasy and science fiction. For instance, like dystopian, you'll see that setting really kind of reflects the theme a lot of the times. Like if you have like an oppressive government and everybody is being watched, then you have like these themes of like breaking away from authority and freedom and things like that.
And also we were talking earlier about Gothic, weren't we? That the element of Gothic in terms of location, the haunted house, the lonely house, or the bleak moors.
It's like always like derelict and like falling apart.
and you were saying that ties in with the theme, doesn't it? Because that sort of sense of decay and decrepit surroundings.
Right. It definitely ties into the theme.
Sort of moral decay. And yeah.
So it's not just the house that's falling apart. It's the people that are falling apart too.
Yeah. I mean, setting can do so much hard work for us as writers. We just have to utilize it, don't we?
Right. It's like its own character.
Definitely. And what was our fifth point?
Oh, our fifth
point.
Tip. Subverting the setting to add unexpected tension.
Oh, that's right. So I suppose, we've been talking about using, like a scary old house or island that's cut off from the mainland. But what if it's a very normal setting, a very benign setting, a domestic situation or a cozy day, sunny day?
Yeah.
How can we bring suspense and tension from a setting like that seems so ordinary?
Right. I feel like it can kind of lull the reader into a false sense of security. Like I did that in my first book, The Bone Shard Daughter, where I have an island sinking on a sunny day. And it seems like everything is going along as normal. But of course, there are a couple hints that it's not going to be a normal day. And the character is thinking to himself, like, I didn't think the world was going to end on this beautiful sunny day.
Oh, that's amazing. So you can see that there are many, many ways that you can use setting to enhance your story. And it's something that you really need to think about as writers, because it does a lot of hard work for you, doesn't it?
It does.
So I hope that some of the tips we've given you today will be useful to you. And there are plenty more. We could have gone on for longer, I think, but I think we've given you a little bit of food for thought. Hope so anyway.
Thank you for joining us today. We're so pleased to have you along for the writing journey, and we hope to see you on another episode of The Novelry on Writing. If you'd like to learn more, visit us at thenovelry.com. From first draft to finished manuscript, at The Novelry you'll enjoy one-to-one coaching from best-selling authors, live writing classes with award-winning authors and literary agents, and you'll work with a publishing editor all the way for submission to literary agents toward a publishing deal. All writers learn from other writers, even the greats. Write your novel in good company. Join us at The Novelry. We'll show you how to start, coax your story into shape, cheer you on to type the end.